cops bullied black man outside, then he walked into the station as their captain. They slammed him against a car, called him a criminal, and laughed in his face. But minutes later, that same black man walked into their precinct, a captain's badge. What happened next made the whole station freeze. Hit that like button, subscribe, and stay with us because this story will leave you speechless. It was a normal Monday morning in downtown Atlanta. People were heading to work, the streets were buzzing, and at a quiet intersection stood Derek Miles waiting patiently for his ride. Dressed in khakis, a dark blue button-up, and holding a leather briefcase, Derek looked like any professional man heading to a big meeting. But what should have been a quiet morning quickly turned into a nightmare. A police cruiser pulled up. Inside were two white officers, one of them known for being hot-headed and aggressive. Without warning, the officer yelled from the window, "You fit the description, hands up." Before Derek could respond, they jumped out, shoved him onto the hood, and began patting him down. A crowd gathered. Phones started recording. "I'm not resisting," Derek said calmly. "I'm just waiting for my cab." But the officers weren't listening. They laughed, mocked him, even accused him of being a drug dealer. "You think you're going to a meeting?" One of them sneered. "Yeah, sure, in prison." Derek was eventually released when they found nothing, but not before bruising his dignity and splitting his forehead open on the car's mirror. As he picked up his ID from the ground, he quietly said, "I'll see you both at the station." The officers laughed. They had no idea what was coming. Inside the precinct later that morning, the same two officers were cracking jokes over coffee. "You see his face. He looked like he wanted to cry," they joked, unaware their world was about to shift. The front door opened. In walked a tall, confident man in a full navy blue police uniform, polished shoes, and golden captain's insignia on his chest. It was Derek, the very man they'd humiliated, only now he was their superior. The officers froze, mid-laugh. Even the front desk sergeant stood up, stunned. Following close behind was Chief Ramsey, who calmly introduced the man next to him. "Everyone, meet your new precinct captain, Captain Derek Miles." The room went silent. Eyes darted between Derek and the officers who had assaulted him. They suddenly sat straighter. Derek looked them dead in the eye, not with anger, but with the calm of someone who knew he had every right to be there. He didn't say a word at that moment. He simply walked past them head high and entered his new office. Later that day, Captain Derek called for a private meeting. Inside the room sat the two officers, now fidgeting nervously. With them were two internal affairs agents, aware of the morning's incident, thanks to the viral videos making rounds online. Derek entered, still calm but with dried blood visible on his temple. He placed a printed photo from the video on the table and image of himself being shoved by Officer Brett. "This is me," he said. "But it could have been any black man." Brett tried to defend himself. "We were just doing our job." He matched a vague description. "You didn't ask for ID. You mocked me. You used force where none was needed." Derek interrupted. "And now I ask myself, how many other innocent men have gone through this? Just not in uniform." There was silence. The internal affairs officers handed over a document. Both officers were suspended pending full investigation. "You're lucky I'm a professional," Derek said as they were escorted out. "Because if I had responded the way you treated me, this would have been a funeral, not a meeting." By that evening, the story had spread across the city and then the country. News outlets picked up the video. Hashtags like #CaptainMiles and #JusticeWearsABarGE began trending on Twitter. Derek wasn't just another officer. He was a symbol of dignity, justice, and the power of self-control. Local leaders praised him. He didn't retaliate. He led by example, said a pastor at a town hall. Students wrote letters thanking him for showing what real strength looked like. But it wasn't just the community. Inside the department, something changed. Officers who had remained silent before now spoke up about past injustices. New training programs were announced. Sensitivity workshops, mandatory body cam reviews. Derek's calm but powerful presence had forced the system to look in the mirror, and it was uncomfortable but necessary. 2 weeks after the incident, the city hall was filled to the brim. Officers in uniform stood shoulder to shoulder with civilians, activists, and reporters. The atmosphere was tense but hopeful. All eyes were on the man at the podium, Captain Derek Miles, wearing his dress blues. He no longer bore the bruises from that terrible morning, but the emotional weight of what happened still sat heavy on the room. Derek began slowly, his voice calm and deliberate. "That day wasn't the first time I was profiled," he said, pausing, "but it was the last time I'll allow it to go unchallenged." He looked out into the sea of faces, black, white, brown, young, old, and continued, "I didn't report those officers because I was a captain. I reported them because I'm a citizen, because that's what real justice demands." The room stayed quiet. No one blinked. He went on. "The badge I wear doesn't mean I deserve more respect than the man waiting for the bus in jeans and a hoodie. It means I have a greater duty to serve with fairness, to protect without prejudice, and to lead by example." His voice strengthened. "We cannot heal what we won't admit. If we want better police, we have to hold each other accountable, and not just when cameras are on, but every single day. That's the kind of department I plan to build." Then he said something that silenced even the clicking of cameras. Real strength is not in your fists. It's in your choices. I had a choice to retaliate, but I chose to rise, and that choice changed everything. The room erupted in a standing ovation. The mayor clapped. Officers wiped their eyes. And the people once afraid of the badge now saw it as a symbol of hope. That's so the next time you're judged by how you look, remember Derek. He didn't raise his fists. He raised the standard. Like this video, hit the like button, share it with someone who needs to hear this, and don't forget to subscribe for more powerful stories like this one.